Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the CAD platform. I am Kavita, the CAD president, and I am thrilled to have our special guest, Jade Bryan, here tonight giving a presentation. She'll be sharing her story, her role as an activist, and her creative collaboration. And so it's an honor to have her here at our platform tonight. Before we begin, first I would like to explain how we will be running tonight's event. We have a team of interpreters tonight that will be voicing for Jade. And if you all would like to participate in a Q&A, please hold all of your questions. Let's first watch Jade's presentation, and after she is through, we will take a brief break, a brief commercial break. And after that, we will host our Q&A session, and you all will have the opportunity to go ahead and ask Jade a few questions. Now, there's two ways you can do this. If you would like to sign your question, then you have the opportunity to go on Zoom and go ahead and sign your question. The second option is if you would rather not have yourself on camera, then you can go ahead and type your questions, and our behind the stage director will go ahead and input all of your questions, and we will read them off and sign them for you. And Jade will go ahead and answer your questions. And after the Q&A session, we will close the event, and that will be the end. So let's go ahead and introduce Jade. I'm so excited that she's here to present tonight. She is a very good friend of mine, and may I introduce Jade? Thank you. Thank you so much, Kavita. I am very honored to be here. So I have several things that I want to talk about regarding my work. So let's go ahead and take a look at my slides. You all know that I can talk about several different points and cover really a range of different topics, but I do have to keep this under 40 minutes so that we can have a chance for you all to ask me some questions and I can answer your questions. So for over 25 years, I've had production experience, and that tells you a lot about my story. I'm an activist. I have self-respect, which is so important. It is so important to have self-respect, and that's key, because without that, you can't go far. And so I definitely have found self-respect within myself, especially in this industry. And I have been collaborating with people who understand the concept of self-respect. And I noticed that not a lot of people have that. And so it's good to have that type of relationship. And just within myself, my activist, and within my journey, that's how I'm able to share my story. And that's simple. So through that collaboration, I'm able to do that. So I feel like my body, my vessel, And my spirit is really to just move through the fire. And I have so many passions. For example, activism. A lot of the times I will post on Twitter and I'll talk about my journey and my story and other people who have stories to tell. And so I came up with the term deaf talent as a campaign to really show the talent and the unity and the inclusiveness of representation of people of color. I want to make sure that everyone has their voices heard and that everyone has that visibility and that exposure. I made a movie back in 2012, and I wanted to spread awareness and to let individuals see that there's not a lot of people of color in movies and in television. And so I took my activism to the streets and went to several different studios like Tyler Perry, BET, MTV. And I wanted to show my passion and my voice and just take all of that to the streets in a variety of different ways. And I have a very small team, and you would never really guess just how much passion and activism individuals in my team have that has caused such a change from 2012 up until now. And it's really fascinating. And we have developed and grown so much. So deaf talent includes individuals from the LGBTQ plus community, people of color. And just looking back, I noticed that there's been so many changes since it all began. It's unfortunate that a lot of individuals do not want to recognize that. There's a group specifically Black, gay, and lesbian individuals who are talented, and it's really unfortunate because we all have the same goals. We're still fighting the fight for roles and representation. Yes, we've grown, but it's unfortunate that hearing people are still taking the roles that we should have. So now that we're going into 2021, I really, want to give myself a pat on the back because I recognize just how there's been so much change. And it's important that we keep speaking out. We keep being activists. And there's so many different ways you can do that. And that's why I came up with that term deaf talent. Not only is it a marketing approach, but it's also just the way of life. And so I established the Jade Films Acting School simply because I wanted to sow my seeds. Meaning I wanted more individuals of colors, deaf talent. Because in this space, there's plenty of white people who have that opportunities. And I felt like it was our turn now. And I mean, of course, it's still growing to this day, but that's one of the reasons why I established this school, because to take up that space so that it's affordable for other individuals to get the training and the learning experiences. And it's been It's about 3 years old now. It's growing. It's been growing for about 3 years, and I foresee it getting even bigger than it is now. I wanna offer more classes, and I wanna, hire more teachers so that I can let others have the opportunity as well. I wanna work with people who have the same goals and the same passions, who also have self-respect. And I think it's really great to show their knowledge and their experiences as teachers, because each and every person has their own style and their own experiences. And even though I have a strong background in film and directing, I do have some theater background as well. And let's move on to the next slide.
What won't work? You and me.
Mrs. Baldwin, do you remember me?
Hey, I got 10, you got 3, boy.
We're married.
That
I'd avoid all this package.
So I'm happy that I got to show you guys a little bit of the behind the scenes work that I've done. So my group of students, they really enjoy the experience, and oftentimes students will take my classes just for fun and just to see what it's like to take an acting class. And some really are very serious about becoming actors, and they would love to pursue it as a career. And so I think it's really important to think about how it all works and how to work with other actors and see how it is to work with a director behind the scenes and just all of the details, whether it's improvising type of acting or even different methods of acting, specifically one that's more related to emotions and reflection, and being able to dig up some of the trauma or the pain from your past or sad moments or even happy moments, being able to retrieve that and apply that to the character that you're trying to portray so that you can make it believable. So I think it's important to understand how to work with the material. And so I really enjoy teaching acting. And now I'm going to move on and discuss Sundance Film Festival. So my film, I probably submitted it about 8 different times. And each time it was rejected. Just because a film is rejected doesn't mean the film sucks. Sundance receives, I want to say last year specifically, they probably received 13 or 14,000 films from all over the world. And most of my films, they're either features or documentaries. And they weren't accepted. And so I thought, you know, what can I do? I thought, you know what? Let's go to other film festivals. My film doesn't begin and end with Sundance. And this is a sign that I use for Sundance because of the symbol with the sun and the wave. So I decided to go 3 times just to network and to promote my film, regardless if it was rejected. And I just thought, you know what, let me go and let me introduce myself to people and show people, you know, I'm a creative, and just network and get out there at Sundance. Because it's all about networking. And I loved the experiences that I had there. This year it will be satellite. The film festival will be virtual. And they asked me to cover the event because I wrote a review. I'm also a writer. And so this year I was like, you know what? No, I'm not going to sit on my ass and just watch and write reviews. I want to be there. I want to be out there. I want to network. I want to be on the ground. So I want to get my team together, and that I made sure to pick the right person, pick the right team, and I flew individuals out and took care of them, made sure they had food and a place to stay. And I'm hoping that COVID will eventually go away. Right now, I'd like to show you a video where I was involved in a panel discussion. And I mean, I did enjoy the movie, of course. We were discussing, and after I was looking at all the different topics and just taking in all the different commentary, it really inspired me, because at that point I was like, you know what? I want to teach people. I want to spread information so that when they go home, they can take something with them, and maybe we can make things better. So for example, last year, this occurred at Sundance. They finally decided that they were going to pay for interpreters. After I, expressed to them my feelings about how interpreters aren't free. And yes, of course, there's volunteers, but last year they finally decided to pay, but there was one drawback. Sundance is in Utah, and Utah is extremely white, okay? They are very white. It's a predominantly white state. And so I had to get together with the state of Utah because I realized that they didn't have any interpreters of color. And so I thought, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to advocate for myself? Am I supposed to pay? And so I ended up bringing my own interpreters. because like I said, they didn't have any POCs. And so I asked them, hey, I'm going to bring these interpreters. Are you willing to pay for them? And that was another fight within itself. So I'm hoping that, you know, the upcoming year that it will be different. I heard that there's a film with Marley Matlin and Troy, and so their film was accepted, and so I'm sure they won't hesitate to, well, actually not going, because it's going to be virtual, but I'm sure they are going to provide access in the space that we will be using. And so really, I'm disappointed that we won't be there physically, but I know that just the work itself, it can be overwhelming sometimes, but it's worth it. And so right now I'm going to show a film or a video, and then we will have, and this is a panel discussion, like I mentioned. I'm not quite sure who was in the audience. I don't know if the interpreter missed the finger spelling, but I was in the audience and I wanted to make sure that my voice was heard. And so here is the clip.
Hello there. Hello everyone, my name is Jade, and I'm a deaf filmmaker, and I know he said a question, so let me make the point. I want you all to know that we are writers, and they write our story. And we want to mention about our perspective and our voices to be included. We are the untapped market. That's not out there. It's not on the internet, it's not on television, it's not on movies. Well, we have 6 deaf actors. And there's a total of 18, so when we're talking about the data here, which is very important, we have 70 million deaf and hard of hearing people who want to see themselves and dramatized on television. There are none. I am a writer. My main talent is right here, and my actresses are here. So this is why we're here. So what does it take for a deaf, people of color, and Black deaf people to be in front and back of the camera? What does it take for us to have our own TV drama show? That is my question.
Yeah, so I made an exception, and she earned it. Most of y'all aren't going to be that good speakers, just straight up. So, I mean, what does it take in 2019 as a Black female deaf filmmaker? What advice can you give?
I think, first of all, having something that you've written that you feel is the best it can possibly be, that you have interrogated in every way that you can to make it represent everything you hope it can be. And to begin with that and to make sure that when you take your shot, you really have a shot to take. And then to put it forth to somebody like me or
So Black ASL is also a language. It can be shown in the film. Let me back it up. Not on Switch at birth, but there are several different perspectives. And you can't just use their stories to tell our stories. So that's something that we just haven't seen. And so it's important for Black actors and LGBTQ actors to be able to show their stories and show themselves on TV show, because we're all creative. And whether you're Black, deaf, a person of color, Latino, we have creators within our communities that are able to share their stories and share their perspectives. You can't just throw everyone's stories in one group and group them all together and think that's how everyone should be portrayed. It's important that with TV shows, we're able to develop our own content. And so back to the panel last year. That panel introduced me and set up a meeting with the former president of HBO. We had a meeting with them and pitched our story. I was able to pitch my own TV show, and I was able to meet with them and discuss their needs and what my experience is, as opposed to my method and my approach to wanting to uplift individuals and help other people share their stories, and the way I use my platform, whether it's through activism, but it's something that has been going on, that's been going on for quite some time, and I was able to express that to the HBO president.
I can switch. Zena, can you hear me? I was able to give them an example of a concept. It wasn't finished, but it was something that I was able to jot down really quickly and share with them. I offered it as a potential pitch. And it just was giving them an opportunity to conceptualize what that would look like. Okay, so we have a main character who considers himself deaf or hard of hearing. They use sign language. They also do know a little bit of Spanish. They're sexually fluid. Then we have a Black male character involved. He's married to this woman. And how is this concept going to play out on film? So that was an example that I was able to pitch to them, get a little script together, and I was able to fundraise $12,000 through Indiegogo, as well as a Kickstarter. So between the two of those, I had $12,000 that we were able to raise. And that covered the pilot, which was a half hour. It wasn't quite enough money. So what we decided to do with that $12,000 was take some of that, take some shots, some scenes, and make sure that those were covered with the actors, make sure those were complete with specific actors. These were not people who had an opportunity to rehearse, but they had to kind of do it in real time. They had to come in and show and prove right then and there without rehearsal, without the benefit of going over that previously. So we were able to use that in an opportunity to pitch to HBO. And they were not actually interested in that TV show. They had no interest in that pilot. So I had to come up with something altogether different type of content. And so it kind of left me with my tail between my legs, because I was like, okay, I'm not ready to go ahead and move forward with anything else. We were able to raise $8,000 that I could potentially put towards something else. But that deal that we had worked out for the $8,000 ended up not coming through. It fell through. And so we had to look for other avenues. And I was always ready to do that. I was always ready to develop something else, ready to move on to the next thing. And so I always wanted to make sure that whatever it was that I was involved with, that my name stayed clean and I stayed at the forefront and I stayed as someone who was professional and did a great job. So I ended up speaking with the senior vice president of Fox, which is someone very much at the top. We held a meeting. I was pretty interested in what they offered me. We had a development deal that I was offered. And so that development deal was a year. So I ended up collaborating with a writer that they put me with. So this ended up being the third time that I had pitched something. I was able to show them and prove that my concept, the project that I was pitching, was not the same one as I had been working on all this time. So that was, again, something else. And here we go. Let me show you what that looks like.
Wait a minute. Wait. We're married. S. I'm lost. Why are we talking about us?
I don't know. You're the lawyer, figure it out. But please leave. Let me finish my meditation. Take your clipper, your frost.
Look, I was hoping me and the boys could maybe make another baby tonight. Another Ranford Dubois Jr. I haven't given up. And I'm gonna keep trying. Listen, man to man, what would you do?
Is it okay if I park here?
If you're a student, you should have a parking permit.
Well, I don't. Would that be a problem?
No. Because you got fine written all over you.
So basically, I love Ava DuVernay. She has provided an opportunity for me to meet with her and her team and to pitch this TV show that you just saw. And that's all I can say about that. She is actually one of my, I don't know if I want to say the word role model, but she's one of my inspirations. She does inspire me. So I would like to end up adopting her model of directing. She believes in elevating and in supporting women, women of color, Black women, creators, behind the scenes as well as in front of the camera. In Hollywood, of course, there's a strong culture of white males being promoted, being given opportunities, and people of color, especially people who are deaf, don't have those same opportunities. And as you see in the deaf world, the deaf actors and producers or whoever who makes it, they're all white. So hashtag deaf talent is connected to these white deaf actors. And that's incorrect. We need to create another hashtag. I mean, actually, we don't need a hashtag. We wanted to keep our original hashtag. And so deaf white creatives who are making it are able to say, yeah, hashtag deaf talent. Meanwhile, Black deaf talent is not getting those same opportunities. And please don't misunderstand what I'm trying to say, okay? I am a Black woman. I know who I am. I know my background. I know my struggles better than anyone. I know how we have been erased. Do you understand me? Do you understand what I'm talking about? Even now in the year 2020, you see what's happening now is the same thing that has happened 50 years ago. Have you noticed with Deaf U, the Netflix show? Where are the Black women? They're completely absent from that, as if there were no Black deaf college students at Gallaudet. This is something that's happening now, not 50 years ago. So until the time comes where we have Black deaf women in equal positions with equal opportunities, until that happens, until there's equality for all, I'm going to continue to get the word out there. I feel it's my responsibility to make people understand where I'm coming from, to make people hear my journey, to allow people to see my passion. I've been in this industry longer than most people have. And since maybe 90, 91, I would say, I've made plenty of errors. And beginning, I would say 91, 92, I began to shift professionally. And I became the first Black deaf filmmaker. There's been no one else before me. There's a void there. So with my struggles, with my growing pains that I've experienced, trying to make it through and learn while I'm on the job, I've got other people who are riding on my coattails and who are making it way past anything that I've been able to achieve, just based on the fact that they're white and deaf. And here I am, I'm toiling, I'm sweating, I'm giving my heart and soul and my passion, and I have not done anything that equals the fame that they have. And it's not been easy for me. It's not been easy at all. Let me go ahead and stop right here. I know that you guys have some questions perhaps. Oh, one more thing. That concept that I spoke of, the two essences, that is going to be picked up. When that particular TV show comes out in January, we are going to be able to sell that. And once that sells, we'll provide more opportunities. There'll be more doors opened, not just for me, but for other people as well. So we'll go ahead with questions. Oh, yeah. And here we go. I have my own brand, hashtag Deaf Talent. It is a campaign. It is my personal campaign to spread the word. I do own the trademark on this. So I encourage everyone to support me with this, to support this movement. You would be surprised at what's going on behind the scenes. So I do appreciate you watching. Thank you for this opportunity. And now we will open for the Q&A. Wow. Wow, that was amazing. You are really an inspiration to me, and I'm sure you're an inspiration to everyone in the audience as well. So while you were speaking and presenting, I was watching with amazement, and I just wanted to applaud you. I want to tip my hat to you because you're making things happen, not only for yourself, but for all the young people who will be following behind you in your footsteps. You're an excellent role model as a Black woman, as a deaf woman, as a producer, as a creator, as a filmmaker. You're doing it all, and it's amazing. I'm frankly overwhelmed. You're on fire. One person commented that, wow, oh my gosh, I'm very impressed with Jade and her presentation. So there are a few questions from people in the audience that we wanted to go ahead and answer. So are we ready to answer these questions? I'll go ahead with question number 1. I'm really impressed that you founded your own school. I'm just curious, what are the criteria to enroll in your acting and film school? What are the criteria? What does that look like? Okay, really, anyone can sign up. Anyone can enroll. If you're curious and you want to learn a little bit more about yourself, go ahead and enroll. If you wanted to try out acting, see if you like it, you know, I'm 60 years old, someone has told me, and I'm curious about acting. So I told that person, go ahead and get in touch with me. Sign up. If you have any questions, any curiosity, this is like Acting 101, basic. And you can go all the way up to the advanced classes as well. You can hit up our website, which is Jade, Jade, Film, Film. Again, Jade Film, JadeFilm.com. And you'll see the tab that says Acting. Click on that tab, fill out the form that's provided, and you can go ahead and wait for a response, or you can go ahead and just pay for the class. It's important for you to fill out the form. That helps me get an idea as I look it over of your history, whether you're a beginner, if you're someone who might be needing an intermediate class, or even advanced. So if you're someone who's particularly shy or timid and you feel kind of afraid to do public speaking, or someone who just wants to take a class to learn more about yourself, to discover who you are, you know, people have different reasons for doing different things. Acting classes are not just for people who want to be in the acting business. Some people take acting classes and they realize, wow, I didn't realize I could act. Or a lot of times it helps people discover more about themselves and feel more comfortable with who they are. It opens up a new self-discovery, a new self-journey. Kavita says, associated with that question, as far as signing up and enrolling for film and acting school, suppose a person already has some experience with acting. Suppose they took some dance classes or some acting classes in high school, and they've been in a couple of plays perhaps, or they have some experience. Does that count? And also, what is the fee schedule for signing up for a class and entering your acting school? Jade is saying yes. We do have a Christmas/holiday special where you can take 3 acting classes for $150. One class is typically $95 per person. So I do encourage everyone to take advantage of the holiday special before December 30th. And you won't have to worry about, you know, oh, am I a beginner? Am I advanced? Don't worry about that. Sign up for the class. Take advantage of that deal. Kavita is saying, yeah, that sounds like a wonderful deal. $95 for one class, but you can take 3 for $150 before December 30th. Oh, come on, everyone. I would love to see everyone take advantage of this opportunity and join Jade's acting class. Maybe I should sign up. What do you think? Jade says, yeah, come on, let's do it. Kavita says, okay, we'll see. So moving on to question number 2. What was your inspiration for setting up a school for acting and for film? What inspired you to do so? How did you even get started? Oh, I wanted to talk about that, but I was afraid that I would go on too long. I didn't want to kill the time with that story. So I'll keep it short. Kavita's saying, well, we have about 15 minutes for questions. Don't worry about it. You can go ahead with the story. Jade says, okay, well, honestly, I remember I had taken an acting class while I was at NYU. All filmmakers are actually required to take an acting class. It's just part of the curriculum. It requires for us to take theater. We have to learn how to direct. We have to learn how to act. We have to be involved in the entirety of the process, from acting in front of the camera to behind the scenes. And I remember that class was actually quite fun. So we made a film called The Shattered Mind. That's a film that I've made. Prior to that, I had no experience acting at all. So it was kind of a crash course for me. I had to hurry up and learn how to act. I had to practice. I had to rehearse. I had to hire Alexandra Wales as an acting coach. I did pay her, of course. In addition to that, there were a couple of hearing actors. One of the hearing actors played a major role. And before I had cast the hearing actor, I had had a deaf actor in that main role. But due to some different circumstances, that deaf actor was unable to stay with the project. And so I was kind of at the last minute scrambling, trying to figure out. Time was approaching. People were flying in from different states to come be a part of the project, from Texas, from Chicago, from DC, from Atlanta. People were coming in to get ready to film the project. And I still had a main role that I hadn't filled up yet. So there was this hearing actor. And I said, well, let me try. Let me see what's going to happen. I thought about it and we decided to go with him. And I took that risk. I was like, oh, he's hearing, but I'm going to go ahead and see what happens. So this particular show is loosely based on my life, on my story, because I was born hearing. I lost hearing later on in life. I was 8 years old as my hearing began to decline. I wasn't, great at signing. I wasn't fluent, wasn't very comfortable at the beginning. And so this particular actor, I decided to go ahead and take this chance and hired an ASL coach for the actor. So we trained and we forced this particular actor to not use their voice, to hang out and be with family who were all deaf. Everyone was signing. And this actor had to learn to use their visual receptive skills. So we practiced, we trained. This actor was able to pick up bit by bit some ASL. There again was an ASL coach to assist with the process. So that experience was a great benefit to me. I learned a lot from that. And so as far as, we had an issue with like the casting director, and I'm a member of IMDb Pro, not just imdb.com. That is for movies. I'm a member of IMDb Pro. So that's an industry-wide professional agency, I guess you would say. It stands for something. But anyway, you pay monthly for that opportunity. So I was on that website looking for different people that I could have as a casting director, or if I needed someone to, help me produce a film, or, just looking for more representation. And it just so happened that there was a casting director who did reply to me. I had been looking for I was looking for something. And it wasn't even related to casting, but I was looking for someone to represent, like a producer. And that casting director sometimes also worked as a producer. Sometimes they worked as, they had different roles. Sometimes they were a casting director who worked as a producer. They maybe had 2 or 3 roles, including like an entertainment attorney as well. So I'm on IMDb Pro. I'm looking around, checking for a producer, someone who could partner with me. And so that casting director I saw, I said, okay, hey, hit me up. And they did reply and said, how come you don't use Niall or Marley Matlin or this person or that person? And I was disgusted. I said, I'm a Black deaf woman. I have Black deaf content. Marley Matlin and Niall? And because that's all people tend to think of when they think about deaf actors. They know those 2 names and that's it. They don't have a lot of people like Lauren Ridloff wasn't out there yet. I think CJ had just done Baby Driver, and I think that had probably just taken off. But Lauren wasn't really, her name wasn't out there yet. So it's always just been, with deaf panels and with presentations, anything that you network and you mention the word deaf, people always mention Marley Matlin. It's the same name that always comes up. And I'm done with that. I'm over it. So I decided, you know what? Let me set up a school so I can foster, so I can teach, so I can train, so I can sprinkle a little seasoning on, so I can sow seeds. Because everyone has to start somewhere. I invited Michelle Banks to partner with me for this. So we could kind of share the plate. We could teach together. She could teach from her background, her experience, which is more theater, and I can teach from my background and my experience, which is more film. So we decided to partner on that. And that's where we began with the school. That fire, that inspiration stemmed from that, from Hollywood. Kavita says, wow, okay, so I see the fire in you even as you're answering. And I, again, have decided that I'm going to sign up for acting school. I have decided. Jade says, hooray, glad for you. And Kavita says, yes, I'm going to go ahead and do it. So we have someone who is ready to sign their own question. Hold on 1 second. Someone has a question for you. Let's see if we can get them queued up. We're on to question number 3. So the question is, how do you feel about those 8 times that you were rejected from Sundance? Did you feel like you had been defeated? How did you feel about those situations? And Jade is saying, well, to be honest with you, if you're someone who cannot accept and embrace that rejection, that not being included, if you can't embrace and accept that that's part of life, it doesn't matter what it's related to, whether it be a job, whether it be related to film, whether it be related to a financial proposal or an application, perhaps for a job. I mean, you have to accept and embrace the fact that rejection is a part of life. Use that as a motivating force. Oh, okay, you turned me down? All right, well, maybe this isn't the right time for me. Or perhaps you can think of it as, I need to go and work on myself. I need to improve. I need to get better. Or you could think of it as like, well, maybe this is not right for me. Maybe I need to go ahead and pursue another avenue, or just keep pushing. But I'm human. And so, yes, it is heartbreaking to experience the rejection. And you want to go back and you want to argue and you want to say, well, this is why you should accept me. But you know what? I just decided to say, you know what? Thank you for that. Thank you for the consideration. I'm going to go back and improve my craft, and I'm going to work on it. I'm going to continue to be creative. I'm going to continue to make more movies. I'm going to do better. And so that's how I am. I just want to be better. And hey, listen, Ava DuVernay, you know Ava DuVernay? She has been rejected, she said 7 times, her film. 7 times by Sundance. She was rejected 7 times. And I think she said the 8th time, what was it she said? The 8th time was when she won. So that means she got lucky on that 8th time. So 7 times being rejected, and then boom, 8th time is when the magic happened for her. So just because that was her story doesn't mean that's going to be my story. My 8th time, I was rejected again, but I was able to make noise, go to Sundance, make sure my voice was heard, improve my content, present, get interpreters. Hollywood directors were able to see me, see my craft, and partner with me. And now I'm talking in talks about a TV show. So you have to remember, you have to find a way. You have to keep going. You cannot give up. That's it. That's all. Find a way to recycle that motivation. Take that rejection, use it to motivate yourself to keep going. So your stubbornness, says Kavita, and your tenacity paid off. Jade says, absolutely. Hallelujah. Absolutely. Kavita says, I tip my hat to you. That's amazing. And question number 4 is Zena.
So what would it take for deaf people of color and talent to be behind and in front of the camera? So there's really 2 levels. There's the in front of the camera, which is the acting. And if that is your path, if you want to pursue acting, but there's also behind the camera. And that could be anything from being a writer, a producer, a director, a cameraman or woman or a person, or even a mentor or an intern. And also you have to teach. One of my biggest things is learning about boundaries and etiquette. I love to teach that because these are 2 important concepts to have. Whether you're in acting or you're a part of the crew. How you portray yourself is really important. And I'm very serious. As a producer, I'm very serious about my shit. I may come off as cool, but I like to work. And when I'm in my work mode, I switch my hat very quickly. So you have to be able to work and not take anything personally. You have to understand what it means to have boundaries. As an actor, you should know, I'm not gonna waste time by chatting and having side conversations or showing up late or showing up not ready or prepared. You have to take your role seriously. Because Hollywood typically tends to pick the same people when it comes to these roles. And so it's important to maintain that professionalism and to have that training because they will always think of us as not being good enough. And that's just it. And this is Kavita speaking. I agree. I totally agree with you and with what you're saying. Yes, you have to take it very seriously, Jade says. Yes, this is Kavita. Yes, I agree. And I'm sure there are some individuals who are very motivated and committed, but you also have to be the one responsible to screen and filter those people out. And so we have, and I wanted to add something. This is Jade. So I noticed that oftentimes in my acting class, if a new student signs up, this is a fairly new student, so I'll ask, oh, why are you here? Why are you interested in acting? And if they say something along the lines of, oh, I want to be famous, or I want the spotlight, I want to build my reputation, I immediately tell them to leave my class. This is Kavita. Yes, that's a very good point. And I completely understand that. Because if you have that passion, if you have the passion to be in acting and you're willing to just lay everything on the line, that's different. I totally understand you. You have to have that passion. I agree. So now we're going to move on to question number 5. And it says, regarding TV series with deaf characters, does your perception change over time? For example, with Switched at Birth compared to now with Deaf You. Has your perception changed compared to back then? The difference between the two TV shows? This is Jade. Absolutely. Definitely. Yes. Compared to Switched at Birth. I'm trying to find the words. So the writers for that show were hearing. And some of the characters were hard of hearing. And some of the information and the content was a little bit questionable. The representation wasn't equitable. It didn't show exactly how life was for individuals. And yes, they did have deaf individuals involved, and there were individuals of color, but I mean, compared to Deaf You, I see that there's more actors and more representation, and they're able to tell their stories. But I mean, honestly, you have to read what I wrote. You really do have to read my review. But if you're asking me to compare, definitely, my perception has gotten better. Because I know that there is a deaf producer involved, so that's a stepping stone. He doesn't have complete influence, but he is able to tell his input and make some suggestions. So there is quite a bit of impact that this deaf individual is allowed to make compared to Switched at Birth, where, you know, deaf writers would try to submit their work and wanted to become a writer for the show, and they would always get rejected. They weren't ready for deaf writers. Now, Deaf You, I believe season 2, there will be more deaf creators, deaf individuals that are at the forefront making decisions. And there will be more Black women and women of color as main characters. And so I think that is important to have that representation in the stories so that it's accurate and it's showing, you know, and also that they're including other Black individuals, Black deaf individuals. That's not just me. There's so many out there. There's so many people who have the experiences and have the talent to create. And so it's better to just have that integrity and that honesty when it comes to representation. And that's my answer for that question. This is Kavita. Yes, I definitely see that there's been a step in the right direction, especially the fact that they do have a deaf individual who is working as a producer on the show. And the fact that it's a representation of a deaf university, you know, that is taking a step in the right direction. It's really important to keep in mind that over time, so many things will change. Just for instance, in 2020, so many things have happened. And so I do agree that it is a step in the right direction. I'm hoping that the next season of Deaf You will include more marginalized groups, people of color, deaf Black women, Asians. I hope that they are conscious and include more individuals from these different groups. And that will definitely be a lot more enjoyable. And so now we're going to move on to question number 6. I would like to check in with the interpreters. I know that we are past our time, so let me go ahead and see. We do have 3 questions left, so let me go ahead and ask the interpreters if they're okay. And so I do appreciate the fact that the interpreter is willing to continue. So question number 6 says, during your career, what is one of your best experiences you have done in acting and in filming school? Your best experience overall. Whew. Well, I can say that when I was traveling, the film that I made, The Shattered, I took that film all around the world. I went to 47 different film festivals around the world. And throughout that journey, I went to places that I, of course, could afford and that could afford me to fly me in or to something that I can work out within my own budget. And so I went to Jamaica. One of the destinations were Jamaica, and that's where I won Best Short Film. This was in the year 2015. So between the years of 2015 and 2017, that was an extremely busy year for me. I was going all over the world. And I had submitted my film over 200 times and was only accepted to 47. I won 17 awards, including nominations like Best Producer, Best Actor. One supporting actor did win an award for Best Actor for one of her main characters. And it really just took me by surprise. One experience in Belgium, this was in 2015. It was 3 days prior to the Paris bombing. I believe it was a bombing and a shooting, yes. So 3 days prior to that, I was like, I don't know, like, should I go ahead and cancel? I had a flight booked for first class. I had a hotel booked. It was a 5-star hotel where President Obama and diplomats during that Obama presidency, they stayed at that hotel. And one of the judges, I was one of the judges on the jury. And it's for a Hearing International Film Festival. I was the only deaf individual. And so there was an interpreter who saw my work on Connect In. And they were like, oh, I like you. I want to invite you as a judge. And I would like you to show your film. And they offered to take care of everything. And I had such a wonderful time. They took care of me. I only paid $20 for some wine because I wanted some wine and it was $20, but I couldn't go shopping and sightseeing. I couldn't do that, of course, because there was a lot of concerns rising. The judges, the filmmakers, and the actors, they wanted to keep us in a bubble because during that time, 2 of the terrorists that were responsible from that bombing were from Belgium. and apparently they had escaped. And so they were still looking for them, and the person was still threatening to do some more activity. And so they wanted to keep us all close knit and close together. They didn't want us to go out. They wanted us to stay together. We had to eat together. And it was like, okay, once we got done eating, it was like, okay, let's go. You know, we all got to go. Let's get up and go. So the woman who invited me, I had an interpreter, and they use Universal Sign Language, and I believe Netherlands Sign Language. And so it was challenging because I was like, oh, you know, I can bring my own interpreter, and they were concerned about the budget. And so I was just like, okay, but you know, I need to have access. And they were like, we'll take care of it. We'll take care of it. And I'm like, okay, fine, let's go for it. So it was a risk, but I did go, and we made it work. But it was beautiful, and it was such a great experience. But I got to travel all over the world from the years 2015 to 2017, and it was a great time. And I'm so grateful for that film. And because of that, you know, I was able to take off and develop my own TV show. And it's something that, you know, it will happen. It will happen. I know that it will. And I'm getting closer and closer to it. So this is Kavita speaking. Wow, what an experience. That is amazing. I'm sure you were traumatized, but at the same time, you got to take advantage of such a wonderful experience. I have a person here by the name of Don Lee. He would like to sign his question that he has for you. So let's go ahead and have Don Lee show up. And the individual's name is Don Lee. Okay. Yes, 1 second. We're going to wait for his video to appear. Hello, can you see me? Yes. Okay, go ahead and proceed with your question. Hello. Oh, there's a little bit of lag time. Interesting. Okay, hi. Hello, Jade. Thank you for coming and bringing your deaf talent. I had a thought about England. I know that they have a deaf channel. Are you aware of the deaf channel that they have in the UK? Are you referring to BC? I'm wondering why the United States doesn't have a deaf channel here in America. Do you know the answer to that? That is a very good question. And I have tried that many years ago. I tried to set something like that up. And it was very challenging. It's not easy. Mainly because I am a woman. I am deaf. I am Black. And I refuse to use my identities as a barrier. You know what I mean? Because I believe in my abilities to tell my stories and my experiences. And my resume is credible. But unfortunately, it is challenging. It's challenging to get on a TV channel or a TV network or to collaborate and express our ideas. It's challenging. For instance, Oprah has her own channel. And to run a network isn't simple. It's not easy. And even to have your own TV show, to be one that is creating a TV show and to be an independent creator, those are two different beasts. As an independent, you know, I'm my own boss. I make my own decisions and nobody is telling me what to do. I'm able to collaborate with individuals that I want to hire, filmmakers that I would like to hire. Compared to working with Hollywood, collaborating with Hollywood directors and executives, you have to make that effort to be a team player. And it doesn't mean that I don't like what they have to offer, you know, but sometimes maybe I don't. But at the same time, you have to make sure that you keep in mind, you know, you're one of the creators. Whether you're an executive producer, you know, these are individuals who have fought for me to pitch my TV show. But I was able to step in and make sure that these stories are authentic and to give feedback because they don't have that experience. And I don't have that experience being on TV. So it's really a collaborative work. And it's obviously loosely based, the stories, and like it's something that it's a learning process. Navigating through that whole system, it's a learning process and something that I had to keep in mind. So yeah. Back then, I want to say in the 1990s, I was fresh out of graduating and I was dating somebody at the time, or I'm trying to remember what was going on during that time. But I know that so many TV shows and so many networks were not willing to hire me because I was deaf. And I am extremely deaf. I require having an interpreter. And so in order for me to get hired, for example, Eddie Murphy wanted me to work with him as an assistant, a production assistant, and I got paid. It was a very professional experience. And it was more of a director in training, what that position was. And I'm trying to remember the name. Jonathan Demme, his film called Beloved. That's where I met Oprah Winfrey. So this was back in 2007. He wanted me to watch him direct and pretty much mentor me. And so I was able to have that firsthand experience. I got paid to watch him as a director in training. And I shadowed him. He introduced me to all the different crew members and even the people at the top. So I was trained to pretty much shadow him. And the term reels in film is pretty much you just watching the reels. And that's pretty much what I was doing. I was watching the reels and able to gain that feedback. And I got to eat the free food that was on the set. And just being able to be invited into an experience like that and build my resume was amazing. And that's when I realized, you know, as challenging as TV is, I wanted to build myself up as an independent and spent so much time doing that. And now I have shifted to working with television. And I've been doing this for about 3 years. I know that my goal, I'm getting closer to that finish line. And eventually, maybe one day I'll have my own TV network or my own TV channel. And this is Kavita. Really, all you needed was that strong push. If you need that strong push, just ask me. I'm willing to push you and to spread the awareness for you. I would love to see you or any deaf individual set up their own TV show. Because everyone has the potential. We all have the potential. So I would love to see somebody set something like that up. all over the world. The world can see us and see our shows and see our representation. Yes, this is Jade. Also want to add that, does doing a YouTube channel count? Kavita, yes, why not? Why not? Jade, yeah, YouTube channel. Kavita, yes, why not? Why not? I don't see any harm. I don't see any harm. This is Jade. Yes, I mean, a lot of individuals don't see that as the same level. Well, and this is Kavita. One last question. One of the challenges that deaf people from marginalized communities have in accessing opportunities for professional and artistic development, what are your thoughts on this and strategies that deaf communities can consider to help foster the artistic growth of deaf BIPOC creators? Well, it's funny that you asked, because I do have strategies, I do have plans with #DeafTalent. I'm not at the liberty to say just yet, but it'll most likely be announced around January. So I do have a strategy. January of 2021. Yeah, around January, yes, around January. Okay, see, y'all see what Jade said. She's not at liberty to say right now, but she will make an announcement next year around January. So I will be looking out for that announcement. Make sure you all are. I would love to give a round of applause to Jade. Now I'm gonna start thinking, you know, I really want to sign up for your acting school. I'm really looking forward to that. That would be so much fun to work with you. So I want to thank you. Thank you for your time, for coming to our platform. Yes, did you have something to say? Yes, I want to go back to that question because it's very important. It's a very important question. I feel like that question, it's really what is the word I'm looking for? It's really the crossroad. And it's really not just me, but also my team. We have strategies that will most likely get the respect from Hollywood and the recognition that is deserved. And we're very serious about it. We're very serious about telling our stories. And also be inclusive and have that representation. And just looking back on my journey from, you know, navigating my activism, I think about this one small group of individuals who have really fueled that fire. And Black deaf individuals have experienced just individuals taking from them and taking credit for their work. And that's something that goes on within each marginalized community. But within that, it's important that we uplift our voices and just pour that energy into uplifting each other. And this is Kavita. It's called collaborative work and working together as a collective and just uplifting that. so that it benefits everyone. I see you, and I definitely see the potential. So time has ran out and we have gone over time, so we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I would love to thank you for attending our event tonight, and I'm sure the audience probably has more questions. Unfortunately, I apologize because we did run out of time. But if you do have any questions or want to speak to Jade, go ahead and let me know and I will reach out to her. Thanks to the interpreters, Rory, Burton, and Zena. Both have been the interpreters voicing for tonight's event. I also would like to thank the team behind the stage who have been facilitating everything. A lot of work has been put into this. If you all have any thoughts or any new topics that you would love to see come to the table next year, please let us know. Any individuals you nominate to come and present or any specific topics that you would like to share with the community, please don't hesitate. Thank you all for this ongoing participation. I would love to thank everyone. Have a great evening. And remember, we will be back January 2021. So please stay healthy and stay safe. Happy holidays and Happy New Year. Bye-bye. Thank you, interpreters. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. You all have been wonderful. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.